The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
I cannot begin to describe the depth of the atrocity that I committed. It was awful. It is the worst gaming dad sin. Like, it's just, I'll get ready to, I deleted my son's save file.
Whoa, okay. Deleted, erased.
Well, specifically, okay, it's a little more nuanced to that, but for all intents and purposes, I come before you humbly to beg for your dad gaming forgiveness because I deleted my son's save file on a game he's really into.
Oh, no.
Oh, he was crestfallen. It was bad. So, specifically what happened, though, so I had talked through him. And the best part is, too, I had warned him, don't go over my save file.
Makes that even better. Makes that even better.
Don't overwrite my save file, son, because I'm really enjoying this game, too. So I showed him, like, okay, so create your own save file. This will be great. I did a manual save.
Okay, yeah.
And then I looked at all the rest of the next time I logged in, when I was loading up my save file, I looked at all these other save files he had. I think his furthest was 2 hours. So fortunately, it's not like he lost a 40-hour save file. That doesn't excuse what I did, but just
no, it doesn't.
Thanks, but some context. But all of those ones that I saw, like all the saves, those were quick saves. None of those were a manual save. So when I loaded up my manual save, those went out the window. All of his quick saves had gone. He did not save manually to kind of lock in place his progression.
Okay, all right. Well,
it's not better because it's still just like I should have saved it to be very sure before I did what I did.
It's like that when you play any game. You do the auto save, you do the manual save, and then you do the manual save again just to make sure. But I can understand that confusion. Like, that doesn't make sense. You know, why would the quick saves go out the window?
Well, because then I played and all my quick saves overtook his quick saves.
Oh, I gotcha. All right. Filled up those slots. Gotcha.
Yeah, if I just did it instantly, probably would have saved, but it was just I couldn't believe it. So there I am, and now I've destroyed his game. And he's so sad. I'm trying to think about... I remember I delayed the news because it was actually my birthday that this has come around. It's close to. It's the day before my birthday, and this was the game I was going to play on my birthday. And I didn't want that guilt on my birthday. Because he's going to be crestfallen. So I delayed the news till after my birthday. So.
Okay, hold on. There's a lot of sins being committed here, and it's amazing. It's just like one after another. Okay, you delayed it because you didn't want to really just deal with it. So
I just don't want to deal with the fall. Is the birthday for me is it's one of my favorite days of the year because I take it off of work. I do nothing that usually involves a whole lot of game playing. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's one of the most relaxing days of the year.
Right.
And I just didn't need that on my conscience. It was there, but I didn't need his sadness also added to it, right?
You're telling me you didn't stay up on your birthday and put in those 2 hours to rebuild his save?
Aha! So we do get to the resolution.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff that he was doing, he was just kind of going far and wide. He wasn't really focused on the task and going linearly. But and this is again, so this is Phoenix Rising, Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Oh, okay.
Which still fantastic. I am adoring it. I could talk a whole podcast about it.
Yeah.
But he kind of meandered here and there, so he had a decent amount of cosmetic unlocks. So my saving grace, though, so what I did is I got into his save file. So, the weekend is his game time.
Right.
So I got into his save file, and I went as far as he had gone to, right up to the point where he was about to kind of progress to the next one. Yeah. And then I also found, I was going to purchase some cosmetics for him. So I was gonna load up his account. Look, I lost your file. I was wrong, and I want to always from a fatherhood perspective, I want to admit when I make a mistake.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I
be humble.
I can make mistakes. You forgive people. I just didn't want to. I don't want to try to seem like I'm infallible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so So I was going to buy some cosmetics. Like, look, I made a mistake, but I want to make sure you had some of these nice, beautiful visuals you had previously. So here, I bought you some. But what I found was that Ubisoft, who created this game, they actually have there's this promotion where if you if you set up your Ubisoft account, they give you like this whole suite of treasures and cosmetics just for doing that.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So I go into his old file. I take him as far as he had been. I make sure he gets all the weapons that he had. Like the introduction to the weapons. You don't start with a bow and arrow. You go through a whole place. You get the bow and arrow. I made sure he had all of that. And then I added in these extra. I found a few cosmetics, and then I brought in a couple extra cosmetics from this Ubisoft account. And then I presented it to him. Okay, son, here's what happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And here's your account. And he's brought it up a few times. He's like, Dad, I was really sad when you had deleted all that stuff, but I have a whole bunch now, and now I'm farther than you. It's like, you sure are, son. You sure are.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you go on a regularly scheduled podcast and talk about gaming and how not to do this
Never once.
week.
It's not like I advise other dads about how to play games with their kids or anything.
Yeah. That, well, at least you resolved it. I was going to say, like, did you go into the DLC? But obviously you had some other cosmetics or access to it. But that is another possible out for an oh crap moment where you have to go to the store and just buy the bow and arrow instead of unlocking it, through the game.
It just feels like it'd be warranted, right? Well, depending on the cost. Like, if it's $100 for the DLC, then, well, sorry, son. Like,
here's a season pass instead. It was cheaper.
But a little bit of comeuppance. But I was able to spend some time getting to where he was. But I just couldn't. Like I said, I was thinking about this show. Yeah, I was very much thinking about this show the whole time I was going through it again to save it. I'm like, I cannot believe me of all people. I've committed this. Like, God, I have to go back through.
That's one of our rules here, Trevor. I mean, come on.
This will be forever etched in my memory. Like, this will be probably him too. This is probably now like a core memory.
I was gonna say, like, it's that that trauma that was inflicted.
That one time.
It'll follow you for the rest of your life. You remember, Dad, don't overwrite my save. Yes, son.
Yes, son.
Skyrim, the 80th anniversary edition. I get it.
Yeah. You know what? It's my system. Forget it. Get your own system.
Deleting all your saves. It's mine.
Wow. So what has been interesting, I'm curious your take on this, because this is very much the first game that we've both been going through it together. So what I found is that, like, at supper time or on the way to school, like during just our conversations we have together, like, we're talking about the game, and he's like, oh, and then I went up to the top of this tornado and there was a boss. Did you go there? I'm like, no, I haven't gone there yet. And like, oh, okay, well, you can go to the top and you get this or that. And we're like relating basically on it, because he's forged so much farther ahead. He's so much extra time compared to myself.
Right.
So but to actually be going through a game together, and especially of a game that I'm really interested in, like, I'm adoring this game. Yeah. It's been fascinating. Like, we're sharing tricks and like things that are happening, and it's just like it's something that we're now connecting on, in a sense. Like, have you, with your kids, when you played a game, like, have you legitimately been going through a game and your kids just also happen to be playing it, and then you're finding that middle ground with which to speak?
I mean, this is outside of just the regular Minecraft talk, right? It seems like be peppered into every conversation.
No, that was the important part. This is the game that you're actually playing.
It's okay.
You're enjoying. You're excited to play. Yes. Not like, you're supporting their kind of hobbies. Yeah. So have you been playing a game that you wanted to play, and they also have to be playing it, and now you're doing it together?
Yeah, so the one that jumps to mind would be Diablo 3. And it's hilarious because I never finished that game when it came out. I think I was like halfway through, and I don't know, things happened, I got rid of it, whatever. I had fun playing it. It was no fault of the game by any means. But when you give these games to your kids and then they really take hold of it, they have a lot more time to go about it. So like you were saying, they would talk about the game all the time, which was great up until the point where I didn't know what things were ahead. And they're like, hey, you remember this whole thing that happened? I'm like, no, I don't. And now, like, thank you. This is an awesome bonding experience, like you were saying. But like, I kind of want to be surprised, but I guess I can't really put them up to a 20-year-old game or whatever, like that's on me. But no, they've spent a lot of time going through Diablo 3. We've shared a lot, like what weapons are you using, what class did you pick, and all that stuff.
That's cool.
And it's neat to like, again, be interested in something. They're interested in the same thing. Like you're at the same level, right, in your kind of gaming era or phase. And so it's a cool thing that happens. But I will say, sometimes it gets out of hand when they race ahead of you, and you're like, hold on. Like we all play together. They're level 50 characters. I'm still level 10, and they're going through dungeons and just leaving me behind.
Oh my god! Getting
ransacked by all these demons and stuff. I'm like, come on, kids! You're supposed to help old dad out.
Don't forget who brought you here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Dad's underleveled.
I brought you into this game. I can take you out of it.
I'm taking my console home. I'm taking my save file. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna overwrite your save file. Good idea, Trevor. Yeah, that's right. So it's been fantastic. I'll say especially with it, it's been a wild remembrance, because the dot I connected is that this game is very much like Fable.
Okay. Yep.
Not like, now I can't say like it's like Fable 3 or some nonsense like that, but it has the same, I don't want to even say jankiness necessarily, but like you can level up whatever powers you want to, and then that can just be overpowered. Like it's open world. It's got this like optimism and charm to it. Like whereas, everything's so dour and serious in something like a Skyrim or something, like Fable was always just like bright and colorful and like silly. Yeah. Like having fun, like jokes throughout, and it's very much that. And everything's, what I like the most too is like action packed. Like every square inch is dense with activities or stuff to see or do. Like there's no just large space,
right,
that you're having to deal with. So like it's just funny to connect the dot where it's like, why I like this, because it's much like one of my favorite games, Fable. So it's been wild, like so cool.
Yeah, it's good to have. It has that storybook kind of feeling. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can see how your kids like it too.
Yeah, especially with the Greek gods. I like the angle too, where I'm continually peppering him with like, listen, like you should really read about these gods. They are super interesting. Like, not yet. Oh, sorry, the best part. Do you know the story of how Aphrodite was created?
I do.
Okay. But I don't know if I think we almost touched on it last episode, but for listeners, like Aphrodite, I'm forgetting even the gods already, but it's like Kronos, I think, defeated his dad. In defeating his dad, he cut off his genitals and threw it across the world. When the genitals fell into the water, it created this massive foam of which Aphrodite then like rose. So that's how Aphrodite, from severed genitals thrown across the world.
Balls to the wall. In
this game, they are so delicately dancing around it. Like it's absolutely fantastic, because the one guy, like Zeus, is kind of played as an idiot, and he's like, no, like, well, she just some clamshells showed up when some grapes fell in the water, and she showed up, it was great. And the other one is like, that's not
not accurate. I don't know what you're talking about.
And eventually, just because I think they're trying to target kids a bit, like they pull a whisper, like, well, you see, first thing that happened was pss, 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 pss. He's like, what? Right. And then what happened? Pss, pss, pss. No way! You're disgusting.
That's creative. I like that. I like that kind of storytelling.
That's what I mean. So it is really enjoyable, and it's just been fantastic to see. So excited he's in there, and as long as I don't delete another save file,
no, don't.
It is going to be fine. Now, we talked about Fable, which is one of my favorite games from past. You also dipped into the past to find what could be a new gaming favorite in your household. I couldn't believe it when you mentioned you were playing this game.
Yeah, so for any of our listeners that are of our age, they will remember the game called Spore.
Spore, wow.
And I forget what year it came out, maybe 2007, 8, around that time. This is one game that like promised like this whole creature creation and evolution, where you can kind of guide this being that you created through this world, and as it evolves, you get to pick out which parts it evolves to support its behavior, right? So if it has claws, it's more aggressive. Herbivore, carnivore, it has special attachments for that stuff, and eventually you grow and grow and grow and make this little town and go against your predators and become like the apex of this thing. And so my 9-year-old, out of the blue, was like, do you know a game called Spore, Dad? I'm like, you know what? I do. How did you ever find this game?
Yeah, I know of it. How on earth do you know about it?
Yeah, so thanks to YouTube again, there's a YouTuber out there that did a retro kind of streaming of this game. And my 9-year-old loved it, just the creation part. And they are very into the building and creating of things, city builders, anything that has to do with like just kind of placing their mindset onto the world and watching it grow. So this game was just so happened to be on sale on Steam. Perfect. $5. So I supported their habit and bought the game. And this thing it really is a fun game. So you were talking about how, Phoenix Rising is kind of like this playful art style. Like there's a certain vibe to it. Exactly like Spore. Like it's just, again, playful, fun. You can create whatever you want. Obviously, it can go crazy or you can just do something more realistic. And it's just a blast to watch them play this thing and kind of know what they're doing. So totally recommend it to any new dads out there looking for just a fun, cheap little game for their kid to kind of explore.
There's so many amazing angles with it. So the game, like, if you do ever watch a playthrough of it, it's pretty wild that it exists. Like, it is so deep. Like, all the gaming mechanics that must have like gone into this, and just for them to all work seamlessly, to have evolution, everything else. But on that point, like, there's just so many awesome touch points to discuss with your kid. Like, that's creativity, so create your own person. It's survival, like it's crafting, like all that really wonderful stuff. But then there's also just the discussion about evolution, the discussion about civilization, discussion about, progress and even history. Because like, like technically we started in the sea too, and we grew up and like we had this, and then eventually we created our first colonies. And like I think you can go into space eventually with this game too, no?
Yeah, I believe that's kind of like the end game, right? Like you're going off to another planet to kind of populate that in a different way. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where you can have all those learning moments. And again, just a fun way of doing it without them necessarily knowing that they're learning. It's just something that just support that kind of information. And again, it's crazy what they can do with this game. So,
yeah, if you're watching any of the listeners, if you do watch a playthrough of it, like just watching the unlimited capabilities as far as like creation and survival, like it's hard to fathom like something like this was ever created.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, at this time, right? Like we're talking 12, 14 years ago. And I just through the intro of them playing the kind of tutorial area, like they would add wings and all of a sudden your creature would know how to fly, which is not mind blowing. But then as it lands, just the way the legs were positioned, it would walk on all fours. So do you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is that little detail that kind of adds to it. So
that's madness. All right, that is a great dad recommendation. So looking for a game, looking for creativity, for something besides Minecraft for a change. This seems like a really great pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it runs on basically any laptop. The 9-year-old's laptop is not. It is a Chromebook. So this thing will run silky smooth, 60 frames a second, no problem.
On a Chromebook?
On a Chromebook.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah, so it runs basically anywhere. You can find a place for this thing. So
amazing.
Keep an eye out.
Hey, Gaming Dad recommended. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to my next sin from the first
You just pepper this with like fails and wins.
Yeah, so you're all wins this week. I'm all fails this week.
Right.
Okay, so I paid for a free loot box.
What are you doing?
Game. Yeah, I know.
Sin is right.
The whole time of it too. I'm about to pay for it, and I was like, I think I'm going to pay for this, and it's just call it guilt, just because it's like, this sucks. Like, this is so dumb.
What is Jeff gonna say?
Oh,
what's he gonna say on the show?
I'm gonna be so embarrassed. But
What game is it? What did you buy into? I'm so curious.
It's like what did you do?
What broke you? Yeah.
So this game it's a golf battle. It's precisely kind of what you would think it would be. So it's a mini golf game, battle royale style in a sense, where it's like you and 5 people will play this. And what I really liked about it, and I've looked for a mobile golf game that had this mechanic. And generally, I was initially resistant to the against other people. I just wanted to golf. I like golf games. I really do. And there's something about the mechanic of grabbing the screen, pulling back for your amount of energy, and then aiming it. That's really tactile to me. I really enjoy that. Right? This one, after I got over the hurdle of having to compete with other people, it just started to get hooks into me. And the thing that I found about it was, it as much as it is very much honestly like a pay to win, in so much as you play these games, you get loot boxes, right? So you get chests, and like much like any loot box game, ultimately it's a sucker's game because they want you to buy 1,000 loot boxes so that maybe you get that 2% chance of getting the thing you want to get, right? That all sucks. It certainly does. What I did find about it is, as much as that's the truth, if you want to go to the courses where you make 100,000, like I found the first like cheapest courses to be so viscerally enjoyable, like because it is there is skill to it in the sense that like you have to hit your shots. You can buy the greatest club in the world, but ultimately you have to like get the right aim and the right power, and off it goes. And like
it's not like you buy this magnetic ball and you automatically get a hole in one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Like clubs will have more power. They'll have better aim, accuracy, and like better guidance. Like it'll show you like further. It'll better show you how far it's going to go. So it certainly helps. But it's not like the world's best player would not every single time beat the world's worst player, no matter what their gear is. So the fact that there's just that skill to it was like that, plus the kind of the slow progression, everything. It almost feels like, this will sound stupid, a career as far as like your playing character goes, because you slowly kind of just keep playing. You're finally learning your shots. Then eventually you just happen upon a better club. And now you can play even slightly better. You can now hit these shots you couldn't before because you didn't have a good enough club, and go. So what I eventually did pay for was they have seasons. There's a seasons pass because
all right.
So because as you play games, you get chests and blah blah blah. If you do a seasons pass, which lasts for some like 12 weeks or whatever, you just get double. It's a classic like double chain, right? Yeah. Like you're getting the rewards on the left, but if you only paid, you could get the ones on the right.
So they tease you with it too, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you could be getting this stuff.
You could have had 8 chests by now. I'm like, all right.
$2.99.
I just got to this point where it's like, you know what? Like I am having so much fun with this. Like it really is been my mobile distraction whenever you find that like, and that's the other thing too, as far as like game time goes, when you do a match, it's 3 holes. It takes like less than, it's like 2 minutes tops. So you're in and out. So it's like this tiny minuscule little bit of gaming from it, and then like it feeds my itch as far as like the actual tactile way to do the golfing. I paid for a mobile game, Jeff. I paid for a free loot box laden catcha like awful game. I don't know what to tell you, man.
You're just a different person. You've changed. You had a birthday. You changed. Look at you. You're buying mobile games. You're
deleting your son's games. You're playing like awful. You're supporting the worst part of the industry for mobile games.
I know.
It's
ruining it for all of us. But
I think about that honestly, where it's just like, okay, I'm perpetuating this awfulness for because if enough guys like me pay for this, like this will be the only type of games that exist.
Right. But you could be saying, if it started out like this, like you would never get into it. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was so in your face all the time and you downloaded this free game and immediately it's like, hey, you need to pay $5 to get these courses. Otherwise you're playing the same course over and over, Trevor. You're never going to like the game. So they teased you into it. Like I think they know what they're doing, and they'll keep these things, to people that actually want to play for a long term. You're thinking long term, right? So,
no, just like the longish term. Like I'm
longish, yes.
It's providing some fun. I'm enjoying it. Like it's not horrifically overt with it. Like, and I can definitely, people can win without paying. They truly can. So, there's enough of those saving graces that it's like, all right, so be it. Here we go.
Right.
I'm the worst.
Well, I'm never going to play this game because you're going to have all the best clubs and golf balls over me. I'll never win.
I wouldn't be surprised if you would. I'm not that good. I just like it.
You've got to be good now. Come on. You put money into this game.
I'm doing all right. The worst part is, like, so as part of the live video stream that we do when we record this podcast, I brought up a video of this game, and the whole time I'm like, oh, that's how you make that show. Oh wow. I could like I'm trying real hard to focus on the show and not talk about it because, like, dude, those are some really pretty impressive shots these guys are doing.
Next, you're going to hire a digital trainer just to see you through this game. I mean,
you can officially kick me off the podcast if it comes to that. Like,
I'll let you know.
This guy, he deletes his son's games. He pays for free mobile games. This guy's the worst. Get him off the show. Can't believe him.
He runs his podcast. He's talking about it all the time, trying to tell people, here's my discount code. Punch this in.
Hey, we're all gaming dads. We're all in this together. We're getting better day by day. So don't worry about it. And on that happy note, we'll end it off there for the week. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. Do you have your own gaming sin you would like to present to the gaming dads listening that you'd like to repent? Do you have your own story? Do you have a game recommendation like a Spore? A game from the past that your kids have found great joy in? We'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at newdadgaming.com or at our Twitter at newdadgaming. We absolutely love hearing from fellow gaming dads and seeing what you're up to, what you're enjoying, and life lessons as you go along. Don't hate on me too much for paying for a mobile game. What can I tell you? No hate, no foul. If you like the podcast, you can find us on all of the major podcasting networks. A subscription actually helps us a whole lot. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, podcasting app, Caster, anywhere where you get your podcast. What really does help the show, if we could make a request, would be the subscription, but also a rating. Leaving a rating or a comment about the show really helps boost the signal. If you haven't done so thus far, and you've gotten this far into our silly dad banter, we'd really appreciate it. Really help us get out to as many gaming dads as possible. Other than that wraps it up for the week, everybody. Hope to hear from you, and until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old with multiple intact save files and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And just remember, just because you became a dad,
you don't pay to free to play.
Damn! Darn!
Does not mean it's game over.
It is for me, apparently. Like, it's the beginning of the end. It's going to be nothing. This show's going to turn into nothing but Candy Crush and Words with Friends. It's all downhill now. Right.
Going back to Farmville. Wait for Trevor.
See you next week.
See you later.